Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching this. You're watching the 5-2 Podcast, Episode 3. Got a couple things to talk about this evening. It's evening over here in my neck of the woods. It's evening over there. I don't know when you're watching this. I'm just trying to be considerate of all time zones and time frames that this show is being watched. I've got Gary Freeze with me. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. News day, right? A lot of things breaking today. Putting together this little quick hit for you, all the viewers out there. Couple good things to talk about and do a little recap of some new football.
New football indeed, and not just coming out of the National Football League. We're talking about the AAF, and we will get to that in a little bit. In the meantime, let's kick back to some potential NFL talent, and I'm talking about the young kid himself, the little engine that couldn't. Kyler Murray officially declares he's fully committed, like he's at the altar saying, I do, fully committed to the NFL. Now, this young cat who he probably field dresses about $120 and he stands about 5 foot flat is I've got a little personal bias, and we're
yeah. I know, Red River, yada yada.
All I'm saying is that it's 9:10 in the evening, and OU still sucks. Hook 'em all day until the day I die, son. Anyways, so facts only. So there's already been some chatter about where he could go. I know that earlier on one of the Backyard Blitz podcasts, we talked about where he could go. I saw him potentially going to New York, and I hear
they squashed that.
They squashed the shit out of that. Not only did they squash it, the Giants organization had someone go on record and just very, very point blank and to the point, too small.
Yeah.
Never in my life have I ever rooted on the Giants except for anytime they play the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And I was a fan for the third time there. I was a fan.
Yeah, you kind of tipped the cap there.
Tip of the cap. So, Gary, what do you think about Kyler Murray declaring? I mean, is this, we both agree that he probably should have went baseball. What do you think about the idea, and where do you think he's going to go now that the Giants swipe left on him?
Yeah. Nice social media reference there. I like it.
Gang.
Honestly, I don't know what to think, because I thought all along it was a leverage play, and I was a little surprised to hear today that he's going into the draft and he's fully committed. I thought the A's were going to come back with more money. He was going to sign. Everything was going to be gravy. We were all going to move on with our lives. But today we find out he wants to be an NFL quarterback. And I think the guy's got a lot of talent. And we talked about it a little bit before the show. And you talked about, he field dresses at $120. Stands 5 foot flat. I mean, he's 5'9", but closer to 5'7", right?
He's at the end of the day, he's still not a full-grown man. Let's move on.
That's full disrespect, but UT, I get it. But I think he's got talent. There's one thing that concerns me, and the Giants may have been saying this in the way that they said too small. It might be a combination of height and weight and build and all that. I don't think he's too short, because Russell Wilson's 5'10" and I don't know, like 3/4, something like that. And, Kyler Murray's probably going to measure at 5'9.5", maybe something like that. And an inch to me in terms of height is not that big a difference. Russell Wilson's been successful. The difference to me is when I look at them. Kyler Murray doesn't look the part of somebody who can handle a beating. Russell Wilson, for as agile, quick, and elusive as he is, that dude's kind of built like a shit brick house. Or brick shit house. I said that backwards. But either way, he's built, he's stout, for 5'10". And Kyler Murray, to me, looks like somebody who's going to get broken in the NFL. I watched Quinnen Williams destroy him, and he got hit in the head. But Quinnen Williams bent over to hit him in the head. And NFL talent. That's an NFL defensive lineman who bent over and still hit him in the head. He's going to take a lot of shots to the dome because everybody's tall. Everybody's much taller, and I don't think he gets out of the way of contact as well as somebody like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson doesn't take a lot of like blistering hits, and that's why he's been able to preserve himself. I'm reminded of our that's really where I'm at when it comes to the difference between him and Russell Wilson. It's the build. I just think he's too slight.
And that's understandable. I mean, so obviously there's a couple things there. The height really isn't a big deal, although I do believe that one of the initial qualifications, especially trying to jump into the quarterback position, is that if you sit down to take a shit, your feet shouldn't be able to dangle. But
you're on him tonight. I like it.
Kyler Murray, you know, the way I look at it, you got to be at least this tall to talk to me, bro. Get the fuck out of here. But yeah, I mean, he's small, and so the argument I always have, you know, and of course, being in Texas, there's a lot of that obvious the rivalry, but there's a lot of OU fans, like even in my neighborhood, and every time we have that argument about, oh yeah, he's going to be great, he's going to do awesome, my immediate response is, how great is he going to be doing when Ndamukong Suh or Von Miller or any one of that, DeMarcus Lawrence, any of these powerhouses, Khalil Mack gets in touch with him, it's fucking over. Like, that man is going to be broken immediately.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules in place to protect the quarterback, but you know where they don't get protected? Is kind of where Kyler Murray's bread and butter is, running the ball outside of the pocket. And unless he gets better at protecting himself, he's going to end up like RG3. RG3 couldn't protect himself. Guess where that dude's at right now? Backup at best. So I think Kyler Murray made a mistake going to the NFL, and I'm with you 100%. I just think he's too small.
Well, for the first time in a while, we've been able to say that the Browns are not in the market for a quarterback. So I don't really know where that leaves. I mean, we talked about Jacksonville being an option, you know, just because of the idea of Bortles just being a fucking dumpster fire. But I don't know, man. Where do you think he's going to go if New York isn't an option? I know I heard somebody say Baltimore because there's the idea of getting rid of Flacco and having a backup there, you know, just
you don't spend another first-round pick on a quarterback. You just don't, not in consecutive drafts. And I know that a lot of people have been talking recently about Cliff Kingsbury's comments and whatnot about, oh, if I had the chance, I'd take him first, you know, first overall if I could, blah, blah, blah. They just drafted Josh Rosen last year. They're not in the market for a quarterback. Cliff Kingsbury was given that job with the understanding that Josh Rosen was quarterback and he's coming in to fix Rosen. I think we're going to see Dwayne Haskins still go first off the board, but I don't think it's going to be to the Giants at 6. I think a team's going to swoop in and get him at 2 or 3, maybe even 1. Maybe they trade up all the way to 1. I think we could see. I think Jacksonville could be a good fit if they don't make their play in free agency. They need a quarterback, and I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be hurting for some sort of hyper hysteria at quarterback to kind of generate buzz for the team that had Super Bowl aspirations this past year and really was hampered by a lot of different things, but especially at the quarterback position. So I'm going to guess I'm going to say Jacksonville with the caveat that I think Miami might make a play for him too.
So the idea of Miami being a factor there would be kind of interesting. I mean, I know there's definitely been some trouble with the quarterback's position there in Miami. So I don't know. Honestly, I mean, it sounds like we both agree that Florida's probably going to be where he goes.
I just don't want Washington to go get him. I wish. I just one thing, Bruce Allen, please, just don't fucking draft this guy.
So coming from a fellow NFC East team supporter, I think Kyler Murray's the answer for you, man. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to get you he's going to get you to like a
number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. I mean, it's trying to be positive here.
One thing I will say, a quick silver lining. I think there's going to be some hype around him, and I think a team's going to trade up in front of Washington. What this really does for me as a fan, and I love to play the couch GM. I love it. I think what this does is move a guy like Drew Lock closer to our spot. Like Drew Lock, I think, is going to go to the combine and blow people away. But I think Dwayne Haskins is going to ride the momentum that he had from the season into being the first quarterback off the board. I hope that Kyler Murray goes to the combine, runs a 4.39, 4.4, throws the ball through the fucking walls, and somebody trades up to get him, and Drew Lock slides to us. Because I think Lock's going to go to the combine and blow people away.
So you think that Lock's going to end up similar to like a Josh Norman? Is that who I'm thinking of? The Wyoming quarterback.
Allen. Oh, Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
Yeah. I think it could be a lot like that, but I not to go too far back, but last year during combine season, I wanted Locke to come out last year in the draft, and I thought he was going to be the best quarterback last year, and I think again this year. I think he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft class.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, folks. So let's move on to our next subject. Let's just go ahead and fucking kick this one right in the teeth, pun intended. Kareem Hunt gets a 1 year, $1 million contract, right? With the Cleveland Browns as their kicker. This is just never gonna get old.
It writes itself.
Oh fuck yeah, dude. I mean, this guy.
They didn't have kicker problems this year. They'd have won 2 or 3 more games with a good kicker.
That's true.
We fit kicker into this conversation.
Before I heard about this whole shindig with Parkey, I was gonna assume that he was gonna go there.
Yeah.
I figured surely they were gonna be
Chicago. They were gonna for a kicker. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be in the market, but no. So he gets a year deal with the Browns. So
he gets to kick it back in his hometown.
It just keeps on coming. I love it. It's fucking gold. I love it. So, so here we are. The shitbag himself gets he gets a contract with the Browns. He's gonna have a nice little setup. I mean, Baker Mayfield's got a solid little operation brewing up there. They've got a new head coach. They've got some momentum going up. They came off of especially compared to recent years, but at least this past season, they didn't do terrible at all. Like, I wasn't mad at it. I think in my opinion, if the only thing I didn't really agree with was the tie. I think ties should not exist in the NFL, but that's a completely different subject.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Kareem Hunt, obviously, there's no doubt about the guy that he's talented, right? The guy can fucking drop shoulder and get the job done, plow the line. He can get yardage. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got everything that he needs to be successful. Obviously, his temper in hotels seem to get out of hand every now and then. He's definitely got feet. That is facts. This man has feet, and there is a woman who's about to get paid a large sum of money in a lawsuit. They can attest to that. As long as
I tell you his shoe size by the ass print.
Probably tell. I mean, you know what? She's just lucky he wasn't wearing cleats, to be fair.
True.
But I mean, it is what it is. We talked about we've talked about this before, and I don't know if we did it online, but the whole Ray Rice thing, whenever that went down, we talked about this in comparison to that. Ray Rice has not been signed since, and more than likely he's probably not going to be. But I think that I don't remember what your opinion was, but I thought we had a difference of opinion because you had said that this Kareem Hunt thing was worse. And I don't remember. So correct.
They're going to treat it worse. They're going to treat it worse because of the fucking total fail they had with Ray Rice.
Right.
He's going to get 10 or 12 games, and he appeals, and maybe they cut it to 8. He's missing a substantial portion of this upcoming season, though.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the thing. And as far as Ray Rice is concerned, man, that whole situation was a shit show in and of itself. And I do think that as far as the caliber of the offense, it was significantly worse. I think that Ray Rice's was way worse. I mean, this man knocked out a woman and then went on for his longest carry of the season as he carried her down the fucking hallway.
I think the biggest thing that I found different about this situation was that Kareem, he went after her a couple of times. Like, after the initial shove in the face or shoulder, whatever you want to call, you can't tell, but he tried to shove her, and he went back, and then he walked away, and then he came back again, and then she's laying on the ground crying clearly, and he kicks her. Like, dude. Yeah, no, he didn't knock her out the way Rice fucking Tysoned her. That
Oh,
that was
dude.
fucking egregious. But Kareem went back and back. Like, you can't do that, man. That's fucked.
It's
That
definitely
shows me
more.
a history. Like, you have a pattern of just being an asshole and beating the shit out of women. Like, that's fucked.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the lack of restraint that kind of makes this one bad. Obviously, Ray Rice was not aware that he was being recorded, obviously, and there was no one really to stop him from doing what he did, and that's why, it's kind of you find out someone's true colors in a situation like that. But whenever you've got the situation like what happened with Kareem, it is significantly worse purely because there was a gaggle fuck of people around trying to stop it, and he just
Right.
kept going back. I mean, at that point, I don't give a shit what she said or did. Like there's a lot of arguments about her throwing out racial slurs and blah blah blah. And here's the thing: is that there's players in the NBA, there's people in general who deal with that shit all the time. There's people who deal with racism and slurs and just overall heckling. I mean, Westbrook, he's talked about being heckled over and over again by fans. He's talked about all that shit. And so when that happens, regardless of whether or not it's right or wrong, and this is regardless of skin color or moral character, you have a fucking obligation as a professional athlete to set that standard. And there is a double standard, and it's not fair. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone comes up to me and calls me a beaner and I beat the fuck out of him, I'm not gonna get suspended from work. I'm gonna, call in and be like, hey, I'm gonna be late. I gotta get bailed out real quick. But I'm gonna go to fucking work and probably keep my job. I'm not gonna get suspended or docked pay or anything like that. Whereas he, obviously he ended up losing a shot at who knows what their Super Bowl chances would have looked like if he had stayed on with the team. So, I mean, it was a huge impact on the team. It was a huge impact on his career. So I think personally, although there's no justifying what she did, it was not only the wrong response, it was the worst possible response you could do. Because not only did you strike her, but you kept going. And you showed a complete lack of regard or restraint for a woman who was completely defenseless at that point. So
Yeah, and that's a big thing. And I had a conversation that day when the news broke, and of course the news broke 9 months after the incident. Like, okay, not to me, that's a whole nother story, but that's pretty shitty too. But the day that the news broke, I had a conversation with a Chiefs fan, and he was trying to justify it, like, oh, he pushed her, he didn't slap her or punch her. Okay, fine, but he still physically went after her. Oh no! And by the way, he kicked her when she was on the ground, fucking crying. Like, oh, but he didn't kick her that hard. Fuck you! Like, you can
if
be a fan. You can be a
I
fan
had
all
a
you want, but don't let that cross boundaries on being a decent human being.
oh, dude, if I had $1 for every time I heard somebody say, yeah, well, she called him the N-word, like, look, I don't give a shit. I don't like. There's no excusing it. I'm not sitting here saying like, "Hey, that's completely okay."
Oh,
But
it's
what
not
I'm
okay to
saying
say that
is
either,
that,
but it's not okay to meet somebody's verbal assault with a fucking physical assault. Call her a
yeah,
cunt or something.
I don't know. And it's a difference in the way people are raised. It's, and I'm sure a lot of that probably comes down to like the sense of entitlement he probably has as an athlete. There's a lot of people in this world who make as much money as he does, and he thinks, fuck it, I can throw some money at this problem and then, take a swing, get my shot in. And so again,
Yeah, the NFL ruined that about fucking what, 7 years ago with Ray Rice.
Yeah.
They don't get to handle shit like that anymore.
So, and again, there's no excuse for what she did if she did it, and I don't know if she did, but regardless, there's no excuse for putting hands on a woman. Period. And I'm, without delving into the fucking politics of all of the shit associated with it, because we are strictly a no politics fucking conversation type of podcast. Period. Let alone
Be a decent
sports
human
media
being.
network.
There's no
Yeah.
political correctness about it. Just be a fucking decent human being.
Yeah, just like don't be a piece of shit. That's
absolutely.
Step one. And once you've completed, if you can't do step one, go to step two, which is see step one. And so it's pretty fucking simple. Anyway, so it's like from a football fan's perspective, I'm glad that we get to see Kareem Hunt play football again. From a personal perspective, he's a fucking dickhead, dude. And I don't know. I mean, and again, without diving into it, I never really saw like any kind of apology or anything like that. And I'm sure
He didn't apologize in the immediacy. I can tell you that right now. He fucking, we already handled this and blah blah blah. Like, I was honest with the Kansas City Chiefs, and then you see the video and you're like, you fucking lied, because the Chiefs came out and said you fucking lied, and then they cut him, like immediately cut him. And teams don't just immediately cut the NFL's leading rusher. He's not just some fucking roster filler, man. This is like one of the 3 or 4 best running backs in the league. They're not going to cut you for no reason, man. You fucked up. Own it.
Yeah.
He's owned it since. I have to say he has owned it since. But to me, the Browns are in kind of the catbird seat with it, because if he's suspended for the whole year, it doesn't change their roster. And it's 1 year, $1 million for somebody who could rush for 1,500 yards for him. Or somebody they could pair with Nick Chubb and really have a devastating 1-2 punch. So from a strictly football perspective, I think the Browns are kind of in the catbird seat with this. Now, from the other perspective, they could deal with a lot of backlash, and that's something I think John Dorsey's prepared for.
Yeah.
We talked about it today.
Well, the way I see it is that the dog pound is they're tried and true. If you've been a Browns fan, with the exception of this past season, anytime in the last probably 10 years, you could probably you're probably going to stick this one out, and it's probably going to be begrudgingly, but you're going to stick it out. Yeah, they're going to get shit on, but at the end of the day, dude, Browns fans have been getting shit on forever. So, and this is just one of those things where we'll find out very quickly whether or not it'll pay off as far as his performance. But I'm a big fucking believer in karma. Shit's gonna. If he actually learned his lesson and he's not trying to fuck this up again, it'll show.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the league said they're not going to come out with a decision before the combine, so they're not in any rush to give the Browns a little pat on the back and say, "Hey, good for you giving someone a second chance." They're going to treat this the way Ray Rice's situation should have been treated, and Greg Hardy's situation, they tried to treat it that way. But, the NFL keeps fucking this stuff away. With Reuben Foster, he's on the Redskins now, and they still can't figure out what the hell's going on there. This domestic violence thing, they can't seem to figure out, and they keep shooting themselves in the foot. They tried to hire people strictly for it, and they still can't get it right. Like, how the fuck, in this day and age, how in the world did this hit Kansas City media in like January or February, and we don't find out about it until like fucking October? Come on. You're not going to tell me the NFL didn't know about this. As big a corporation as they are, as big a media market as the New York City is, they've got to have connections in every city across the country. They knew about this.
The thing is, man, there's just not that many people in the world who give a shit or even probably could point out Kansas City on a map.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong on that, but man, in today's connected world, there's you're never going to convince me that the NFL didn't know about this before the video got released. And you're never, ever going to convince me that they didn't know the extent of what Ray Rice did before that video got released, because they were at that casino or hotel. I believe it was like a casino and hotel, but they were there with the security team. There's no way the NFL didn't get that video. This is total fucking bobble by the NFL again. And they're going to try to make up for it with smashing this player over the head with a 12, 10, 8-game suspension.
Yeah, this isn't this isn't one of those things where I don't know, with how live and fucking lit social media is, there's just no way that they didn't know. There's no doubt in my mind that they.
It was reported in the Kansas City newspaper. There's no way the NFL didn't know.
Oh yeah, no.
The Chiefs knew about it and let him play. Like this, it's never going to change as long as they continue to think we're the NFL and we can hide things. You can't hide things in today's world. Maybe in the 70s you could, but you ain't fucking hiding it now. No way. TMZ's got its damn tentacles in everything.
Facts only. That's facts only. So, last topic of the night is going to be the AAF. So, for those of you who's, slept under a fucking rock in the last week, the AAF is football, and it just started. The season just started. So if any of you guys have been buzzing around social media, you probably have seen the video of a team out of San Antonio and another team out of a city that doesn't matter getting fucked. You got a defensive player from the San Antonio team absolutely just fucking lights outing this quarterback. I mean, he cleaned that boy's clock, son. It was, I don't know where the fuck that guy ended up, but that dude found Narnia by the time he hit the ground.
He didn't finish the game in that stadium.
Dude. No, he found the fucking parallel dimension, dude. The prophecy is real. That shit was unfucking real how hard that it was. Helmet is gone. I mean, as soon as it's, that's the best part. And you know what this is like? I've never really, I never really fucked with the XFL. I wasn't a big fan. Arena football is kind of whatever, and then this AAF, is that what it is, right? This AAF shows up, and then I watch a part of this game, and from what I see, I mean, the rules are very similar. There's a couple little things here as far as kicking, as far as extra points are concerned, ball placement, things like that. I think my favorite part about this entire thing was that the referees actually look at the camera and they explain to you why they made the judgment call that they made. That right there, like, bro, NFL refs, y'all are on watch. That's it. Yeah. Like, dude, you fucking son, you're gone. Like, that's, dude. And I bet they're full time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah. I watched a little off and on of a couple of different games, and I caught more highlights than anything really. I was excited to see what kind of football it was going to be, and the little bit I did watch, I had other things going on, and I'm not proud of it, but I didn't sit down and watch the games. But I liked what I saw. I think it's going to evolve. It's going to have to evolve. You can't have quarterbacks getting blown up like that. I think if you're going to try to be in partnership with the NFL, kind of the way they are, you can't have a quarterback getting crown of the helmet to the chin and just losing his helmet. That used to be cool back in the 80s, the 70s, when you'd watch like NFL's biggest hits and stuff. You could have that, but I think it's going to evolve. But what I really liked is that it isn't trying to be the NFL. It really is trying to be exactly what we need in terms of football fans who are looking for kind of a solution in the offseason. It's really trying to be a second chance league. It's really trying to be a place where players that maybe still have a little left in the tank but can't make an NFL roster have an opportunity to play the game they love. And it's an opportunity for like undrafted free agents to come off of practice squads at the end of seasons and play. So I like the idea. I like the concept. I'm just intrigued to see how it evolves, because we can't, in today's head conscious culture around football, we can't have hits like that. I enjoyed watching it. Don't get me wrong. It took me back to kind of my young days when I used to watch people get blown up like that. But I don't think it's going to fly for very long.
Nor should it. I mean, and honestly, the guy got his fucking head taken off, and it was a San Diego Fleet. For those of you who weren't watching or who care to know about this fucking city that doesn't care, doesn't matter. Just if it's north, south, east, or west of Texas, it kind of just doesn't matter. So the way I see it,
I agree with you completely with the refs thing, though. I do want to kind of emphasize that, like, accountability, and we've all talked about it. I know people are going to miss calls. They're human beings. I just want some accountability from the refs. I want them in a press conference after the game where a reporter can ask them a question and get an answer from them. Take your time, go back to the locker room, figure out what you missed or how you saw it, whatever you want to do. I don't expect you to memorize the game start to finish. You're not Sean McVay, but man, just have a little accountability for the fucking calls you make or miss. That's it.
Absolutely. Well, and that's only fair, because at the end of the day, players who make mistakes, players who do whatever, the coaches, everyone else on that field is going to be accountable for what they did. They're going to be accountable to the fans. And, the refs don't necessarily have fans, but their decisions affect fans, organizations, They affect my feelings sometimes because I get all up in my fucking feelings. I'm not even a Saints fan, and I was up in my feelings when that call got missed. I mean, yeah. So that's definitely one of my favorites. I mean, as far as this is concerned, this is just from a patriotic standpoint, man. This is just another reason why America's great, and fuck Canadian football. Where are you at now? Like, I didn't even know that shit existed anymore. It's gone. You know what I mean? That's a fossil. As far as the head hits, that's got to change. It just has to. In the world of today, like we talked about, we've got all this cranial traumas. You've got, all of these, and we've talked about this on other podcasts. I think we talked about it on a 5-2 podcast episode. We talked about Ryan Shazier's injury. We talked about all that other stuff, everything involving that. I think Devontae Adams was last year's. We talked about that. It was that hit against where he got nailed by Trevathan.
Bears. Yeah,
against the Bears.
His mouthpiece flew like 10 yards. Woo!
Yeah, exactly. So that's, it's got to be handled. It's not something that we can continue to accept. Obviously, like you said, it was fun to talk about. It was fun to watch for a second, but, we can't have that shit. And so that's, as far as the AAF is concerned, I mean, it's going to be the NFL's G League, essentially. It's going to be the next G League, and I'm okay with it. Because here's the thing. I love football. I'm down to watch football, and judging by the ratings they got last weekend, they got higher ratings than any NBA game that aired this past weekend. So, I mean, obviously, it's further, solidifying that football is king, and in this country that's been doing it better than all of y'all since 1776. So, it's I don't know. I'm a fan. I love the idea that I think it's perfect. That the fact that this season just started right after the Super Bowl is over. I love that shit. Let's keep it going, dude. Let's get year-round football, because then eventually we'll probably end up getting tired of all of
it. Yeah, I like it. It's new. NFL Europe was cool for about a season or two, but I think this being in American cities run at the right time between the Super Bowl and the combine / free agency / spring training and stuff. And they've got the right amount of weeks. They're doing it the right amount of weeks for the season, the right amount of games. I think they're doing it right. I'm excited to see kind of how this progresses, though, because it's going to evolve. It has to evolve, but I think they've got it right in terms of setting a foundation.
Right. Well, and if you think about where we're at right now, we're right at the All-Star break almost in the NBA. I don't really know about hockey because I'm from Texas, but pitchers, catchers haven't reported yet, so we're under 2 weeks before spring training starts. We've got a lot of things that are getting ready to pop off, so it really is kind of that perfect time. Baseball hasn't gotten into full swing yet. NBA's about halfway there. We're doing all right. So, anyways, that's kind of where I'm at as far as this goes. AAF has definitely got my thumbs up on that one, so I'm definitely pumped to watch some of that. And now that I know we've got one coming up, they've got a team in San Antonio. It's only an hour away, baby. I'm in. So this will bring us to our close, but before we close, I want to talk about our salute to service this week. So this one's going to go to a Sergeant Jason Mitchell McCleary. He passed away in December 2nd of last year during Operation Freedom Sentinel. He was 24 years old, from Export, Pennsylvania, and he suffered injuries in a November 27th IED attack in Ghazni Province, Afghanistan. He was attached to 1st Battalion, 38th Infantry Regiment, 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division at Fort Carson, Colorado. And so with that being said, good sir, rest in peace. We have the watch. Man, that's one thing I've never understood about the Army is they do not play with their names, man. It's 1st Battalion, 38th Infantry Regiment, 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division at Fort Carson, Colorado. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they get a little carried away with names.
Dude, the Army is with names like when Mexicans are with names, dude, because I swear to God,
Name,
oh, dude, I've got a
name.
Yeah. I've got an aunt that's got 42 names. I'm not even kidding, dude. And it's like there's a couple of the names in there twice because some family members maybe got divorced and got back together. I don't know. It's just all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shout out all my Mexicans out there. I can feel my mom's chancla like en route now that I said that. I may have just offended her, but it's just one of those like it's like post traumatic stress almost. I'm just
natural
mad
reaction.
paranoid, man. I'm just waiting for that old Navy chancla to come through at a fucking lightning speed, man. And it's gonna hit me out of nowhere.
Break
Too.
the sound barrier.
Oh yeah, she's up in Wisconsin right now, freezing her ass off. Anyways, so that brings this episode to a close. You're watching 5-2 Podcast. This is episode 3. We're gonna get some more of these going. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Until next time, we're out.